Hello, everyone. On behalf of our team, The Temptations, I would like to welcome you to our presentation on the Cybersecurity Posture Enhancement Project for St. Petersburg Air Compressor LLC. This project represents the culmination of several weeks of research, technical analysis, and collaborative teamwork. Our goal was to identify weaknesses in the company cybersecurity posture, perform hands-on assessments such as password cracking, and risk evaluations, and finally propose a remediation roadmap aligned with the industry best practices like the CIS controls and the NIST cybersecurity framework. Over the course of this presentation, I will walk you through our project journey week by week, highlighting our objectives, accomplishments, lessons learned, and the next steps we recommend for the client moving forward. Slide shows the structure of today's presentation. We will begin with the project overview, setting the stage for why this work was necessary and what we aim to achieve. Next, we'll guide you through our weekly highlights, breaking down the work into week 1, 2, 3, and 4 activities. Following that, we will shift our attention to the key achievements that came out of this project, summarize the lessons we learned as a team, and finally outline the next steps for the client as well as the project closure activities. This agenda is designed to give you a clear roadmap of the discussion, much like how we manage the project with structure and milestones.
Our project centered on enhancing the cybersecurity posture of St. Petersburg Air Compressor LLC, a company that has recently migrated much of its business to cloud and wireless platforms. While this improved efficiency, it also introduced new risk. The project objectives were threefold. First, to perform a comprehensive assessment across five core domains: identity and access management, network security, endpoint security, data protection, and employee awareness. Second, to conduct an ethical password cracking audit to reveal weaknesses in credential management. And third, to develop a remediation roadmap that requires no additional financial investment but significantly strengthens security. This 4 week capstone project allowed us to simulate real world consulting, providing SPAC with both actionable insights and deliverables that are aligned with CIS controls V8 and the NIST cybersecurity framework. In week one, we laid the foundation for the project. The emphasis was on documentation, requirements gathering, and initial assessments. We began by carefully reviewing and documenting existing risks. Security requirements were also defined so that the scope of our work was clear and measurable. Assessment started during this week, allowing us to begin building an understanding of the organization's vulnerabilities. Our approach was systemic, ensuring that we captured both technical gaps and procedural awareness weaknesses. This week was critical because it set the stage for everything that followed. By the end of week one, we had aligned as a team, documented key risks, and outlined a clear framework for executing the more technical phases in the weeks to come. Every team member played a vital role in week one. Mark documented risk and began developing the project plan, providing us with structure. Rob defined the security requirements, ensuring our scope matched the client's expectations. Sean carried out risk assessments and began shaping the password cracking scope. Isaiah identified vulnerabilities and supported the early assessment process, while Timothy compiled findings into the initial risk assessment report and suggested early mitigation strategies. This collaboration not only distributed the workload effectively, but also ensured that each of us contributed our specific skills to the project. The outcome of week one was a solid project foundation and clearly defined deliverables for the weeks ahead.
Week two highlights. Week two marked a transition into more technical tasks. This is when password cracking simulations were conducting using datasets provided by the client. These tests gave us a deeper understanding of how resilient, or in some cases weak, the existing credentials were. At the same time, we conducted data analysis of cracked passwords, looking for common patterns such as reuse, predictable formats, and overall complexity. This allowed us to quantify risks in terms of actual exploitation. Drafting of the final report also began in week two, with sections on findings and recommendations taking shape. By the end of the week, we had a more concrete picture of the organization's vulnerabilities and had begun developing actionable recommendations. Week 2 highlights continued. In terms of contributions, Mark led the password cracking test and began drafting security recommendations, which were later approved. Rob executed simulations and prepared data analysis reports, ensuring the findings aligned with industry standards. Sean established the password cracking scope and identified patterns of vulnerabilities in the cracked dataset. Isaiah compiled results and had his project plan updates formally approved by the project manager, which was a major milestone. Finally, I proposed mitigation strategies and began drafting sections of the final report. The team's collaborative effort in Week 2 advanced us from initial assessment into technical testing and recommendations, bridging the gap between risk identification and actionable remediation.
Week 3 was focused on refinement and validation. By this point, we had a wealth of data and findings, but it needed to be structured and validated before final reporting. This week included continuous tracking of project progress, consistent risk management, and quality assurance testing. Dataset testing was carried out to ensure the integrity of the results, and the accuracy of password cracking results was validated. Intern updates was provided to both faculty and the client, keeping stakeholders informed of our progress. These updates reinforce accountability and ensured alignment between our deliverables and the client's expectations. Our ensured progress was documented and shared, eventually finalizing and submitting the draft of the final report. Rob concentrated on identifying risks during testing and logged them for mitigation, also preparing progress notes and meeting documentation. Sean continued drafting the final report and validated test results, updating the risk register to reflect vulnerabilities found. Isaiah handled quality assurance testing, validating datasets, and tracking risk mitigation. Timothy corrected errors before submission, finalized findings, and presented recommendations. Week 3 was about refining outputs, ensuring quality, and preparing the team for the final stretch of the project. Week 4 marked the closing phase of the project. All major deliverables were finalized and presented. This includes submitting the final report to the client, preparing and delivering PowerPoint presentations, and ensuring stakeholders' acknowledgement of updates. Document review and archiving was completed, ensuring that all project materials were properly stored. Finally, lessons learned were documented and discussed, allowing us to capture insights that were to improve future projects. By the end of Week 4, the project was effectively closed, with all deliverables submitted and acknowledged.
Week 4 highlights include how I submitted the final report, led the PowerPoint presentation, and finalized the document archiving. I focused on the final report documents and contributed to the stakeholders' Q&A sessions. Sean ensured stakeholders acknowledged receipt of all deliverables and facilitated the lessons learned session. Isaiah concentrated on presentation and documented archiving. Tim delivered findings and recommendations while preparing the lessons learned report. Week 4 was the culmination of everyone's efforts and represented a smooth closure to the project. This project had several key achievements. First, we successfully conducted a password cracking audit, providing tangible evidence of credential weaknesses. Second, we developed a consolidated risk matrix and mitigation roadmap aligned with the best practices. Third, we delivered a comprehensive final report and presentation that were acknowledged by the client. We also achieved project closure within the planned timeline and earned positive feedback from both the client and the faculty. These outcomes demonstrate not only technical success, but also our ability to operate as a cohesive consulting team. Through this project, we learned several important lessons. Structured risk assessment are critical for identifying and prioritizing vulnerabilities. Frequent stakeholders communication ensures alignment and builds trust. Collaboration and clear role distribution led to timely and accurate deliverables. We also learned that aligning recommendations with frameworks like NIST CSF and CIS controls enhance both credibility and usability. Lastly, continuous testing and validation improve resilience and provide measurable results that clients can act on. These lessons will guide us in the future projects and in our professional careers. As we close this project, there are clear next steps for the client. Ownership of the remediation roadmap should transition to SPAC's IT leadership, ensuring progression of the recommendations. The company should also consider pursuing formal cybersecurity certification, such as the ISO 27001, to further solidify their posture. For our team, this project reinforced the importance of structured project management, technical rigor, and effective communication. On behalf of the Temptations team, I would like to thank you for your time and attention. We are confident that the outcome of this project will contribute to SPAC's long-term resilience. We are happy to take your questions. Thank you.